well-known musician while my husband and I were in Houston, Edgar Winter, and his brother, what was his name? Oh, gosh. Anyway, they looked like twins. They were brothers, and maybe they were. But Edgar Winter was a famous musician, and my husband, played trumpet behind him a lot when they came to Houston, because my husband was union, played trumpet. But this guy, Morg, you'll have to look him up. It's Morgue official. And he claims he's androgynous, that their gender in a variety of ways. It says some androgyny people define their gender as being between men and women, while others understand being outside the binary spectrum. Androgyny people may or may not transition physically, legally, or socially, because he's a man. He knows he's a man, apparently, but he looks like a woman. And when I first found him, I was just scamming, what they could do, surfing YouTubes, because I'd like to learn things, and I watch a lot of YouTubes. So I was surfing through it, and his look caught my eye because of Edgar Winter. He had long hair, but I was like, is that Edgar Winter? And I looked again, and I thought, wait, that's a young boy. He must be imitating. But he started pulling his shirt off and changed himself on the screen from he didn't really change. I mean, he didn't put on a beard or anything. But I'm just meaning his clothes. He was pulling his shirt off and putting another color on or something. But you knew he was a girl, and then he wasn't. So within an instant, he was such a good actor. He could make your eyes look at earring, is he a man, a woman? But he explained later he was androgynous. So apparently it means that if you're not physically changing, legally or socially, understand your relationship with the gender transitioning within their culture. Generally, androgyny people are considered non-binary, and transgender umbrellas may or may not identify as a transgender or non-binary. Androgyny people, they'll decline the invitation for the transgender gala. The androgyny person declined the invitation. Oh, that's a statement. So you could say, I see, that's an example. The androgyny person declined the invitation to the transgender gala. So I noticed once I said that you and I were going to do this radio show today, Melinda, that YouTube came on and asked me to participate in a survey, which I've been known for 30 or 40 years in the intelligence community to help, because I used to work and get paid in Chicago while I was working for the government, and I was a GS status, but I was in between as a reservist. I was outside the gate of Great Lakes. I hadn't got my job with OPM, or I was working for Navy Regional Finance Center, but I could in between getting the government jobs, I went out and worked for a company, big company, and I was very impressed in Chicago. It's a big city like Manhattan, right? Chicago is gorgeous. But I worked in a little town between Waukegan and Chicago, and while I was working there was a wonderful place that had refrigerators. You could go get whatever vegetables or juices you want in the early 80s. And while I was there, I did surveys, and I got paid to do statistics and surveys and just check all the information that came into the company, and I got paid very well. And I thought, wow, what am I? I don't know what I was, but the job description, but I got into intelligence work again with the government in 87, right after that job doing these interviews. So we could probably do those from home, but I don't know what company that was. It was a huge company, but I noticed YouTube wanted to know if I was transgender, and that was on the description. And this information in the computers, folks, just so you know, every one of us is now tracked by our IPC code and our cell phones and how we talk and what words we use. And just because I typed this up yesterday, I believe, or was it the day before? They had time to question me and me question. It all fit with the questions that were asking me. So I thought that was very interesting that YouTube was asking me a survey based on the fact that I was doing this radio show, because before I didn't have these terms to refer to. But the minute I wrote them up and put them out there to talk about today, all of a sudden I'm in the transgender category, and I didn't know how to answer that. So, because I'm asexual, my husband's passed, I'm not having sex, haven't had sex, not that anybody cares, for many years, over 10 years, at least as long as I've been doing this radio show, before that. So I'm considered ACE. Do you see ACE on there? ACE? I have ACE folk life. Do you see an ACE on there?
I think so.
Let's see.
Okay.
Under the A's. Agab, agender, allosexual.
There's androgynous.
Androgynous. Aporogender. I don't know what that is. Asexual. That's me. Okay, so let's talk about that. Shortened to ACE.
Asexual?
Yeah, asexual. You want to read that out loud?
Hold on. The part where it says...
Sometimes shortened to ACE. It's a...
Hold on, wait a second. I have androgyny. Hold on a second. 1 second.
That's below androgyny.
Allosexual, ALLO-sexual.
I don't have
someone
that one.
Who is not sexual.
Oh, there.
Someone who experiences sexual attraction, irrelevant of whether or not they engage in any sexual behavior, e.g., an allosexual person.
I don't know if I'm alo or allo. I think I'm asexual down here because I'm not. Well, let me see. Sometimes look two down below that.
Oh, you skipped it. I see it now. Asexual is sometimes shortened to ACE, a person who does not experience sexual attraction. Asexuality is a sexual orientation and is different from celibacy, in that celibacy is the choice to refrain from engaging in sexual behaviors and does not comment on one's sexual attraction. So an asexual individual may choose to engage in sexual behaviors for various reasons, even while not experiencing sexual attraction. So here we have asexuality is an identity, and sexual orientation is not a medical condition. Sexual attraction is not necessary for a person to thrive. And explains further. E.g., Tanya was invited to speak about asexuality due to her connections with the local asexual community.
Well, I don't experience sex because I'm not attracted to anybody. At my age, most men aren't looking at women 70 years. I will be 70 this year. I told you on the day after Christmas. But maybe some women still are attracted. Maybe I am if something is. I'm more curious in beings. I don't really think about how they have sex. So I don't know at this point. I'm not exhibiting any outward sexual attraction, and I'm sure not involved in any behavior for many, many years. So I'm not celibate, though. I mean, I don't believe it's different from celibacy. I guess celibacy is by choice, doing without sex, like in the old religions. So the monks are people that were celibate because their things were cut off or something. It's the way when I was young, watching TV and the movies and learned a lot off of TV. I don't know. But anyway, I still have all my workings. I'm just not using the physical reality. I'm up in spiritual business that I'm in our spiritual community. I use the higher chakras right? We start at the bottom, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo,
I'm
violet.
sure I probably do too, because I'm into the chakra stuff.
Yeah, so I'm using green, blue, indigo, violet, white, gold, all the higher ones to do travel at night and dreaming and ascension and interdimensional travel, which we need to make a whole one of these ourselves for that language that I use. So I need to do all that for my UAP associates and my spiritual wellness and mystics, the mystic world. But let's go back. Let's see. Okay, so we got down. We don't know what I am yet, folks, but we know I'm not celibate. I'm not,
wow, we've got a lot of terminology over here.
So, well, let's do some that people may know. What is cisgender? Can you go down to cisgender? I've heard that before, but I don't know.
Which one?
Someone who is not transgender.
What does it start? What letter?
C.
Oh, C. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, CISGENDER. Cisgender.
Yes. Okay. Cisgender privilege. This goes into saying the privileges cisgender people have because they identify with the gender they were assigned at birth. So their gender is widely considered legitimate, both socially and legally. For example, cis people generally don't have issues with their identifying documents not matching their outward expression to the point of additional scrutiny. They also generally have bodies that confirm with society's understanding of their gender. And if they don't, they can voluntarily get surgery with relative ease, sometimes even as minors. There is generally little stigma attached to cisgender people getting a wide range of surgeries. It's important for cisgender people to recognize these privileges so they can work to make sure that basic respect is no longer a privilege, but a reality for everyone. E.g., Brenda admitted that her cisgender privilege made it hard for her to see the microaggressions her trans co-workers face daily. So that's interesting stuff there. I mean, the dynamic goes from one thing to the next and wraps you up in the thought like, okay, you start out with this and you say this, and then you add all these different factors, and this is what it is. So it's interesting. I mean, you break it down as a cisgender privilege people have because they identify with the gender they were assigned at birth. So that's the first thing that's going to drop in your head. It's for this person what they were assigned at birth. That's interesting.
Well,
so
gender, instead of inaccurate terms like biological, genetic, natal, real, or born, refer to people's gender. They call them cisgender, and agi, someone who is not transgender. Cisgender people identify with their gender they were assigned at birth. Oh, okay.
Now, the people that's the cis normativity is those who are normalizing of being cisgender, regarding transgender as an abnormality. This concept applies to the behaviors as well as bodies. For example, a trans man may not want a phalloplasty because the surgical results will not look cis-normative enough for his comfort. So the denial of fan theories about pop culture characters trans status is an act of cisnormative.